Hello everyone. Before we begin, I want to say a few words to my English-speaking subscribers. When I first created this channel, I was publishing only English content. But over time, I started focusing more on videos in Italian. The truth is, creating documentaries in English is way more competitive. And honestly, most of the time, you end up finding the same topics recycled across dozens of other channels. In Italian, it's different. Many people still don't speak English here. And even with access to the internet, important information often arrives late or not at all. That's why I began producing more Italian content. But I haven't forgotten about you. The first 400 subscribers of this channel were mostly English speakers. Many of you found me after I uploaded a documentary I discovered on Telegram exposing the Auschwitz fraud. That video reached over 45,000 views in just 2 years, until it was taken down after a copyright strike filed by Pedoclastia, the original producer himself. I still have that documentary, and I promise one day I'll recreate it in my own words and voice. That story is not over, and it deserves to be told again. But in the meantime, I've created this new documentary, not as a replacement, but as a continuation, because truth has many faces, and all of them matter. I'll keep making videos in English too, especially on topics you won't find anywhere else, like this one, Pedoclastia. This word comes from deep Italian research. You won't find it in English-speaking media. Not yet. But today you will. Thanks for being here. We'll talk about the pedagogy of sacrifice. We'll confront the hidden educational violence behind religious dogma. We'll explore the perverse logic that teaches guilt. We'll talk about the destruction of innocence in the name of faith. We'll show how belief can fracture identity. Pedoclastia. When Christian education becomes trauma, the psychological cost of salvation. There is much debate around the conflict between state and church, two major forces that shape education: culture, ethics, and bioethics in our society. These are opposing forces, often worlds apart. But I believe the time has come, especially regarding the Catholic Church in Italy, to address a long-ignored problem. The educational effect from a pedagogical and psychological point of view of the Church's moral teachings, from catechism to baptism and beyond. What do these rituals really do to the developing self? To understand this, we must look at black pedagogy, a concept well known in Switzerland, where parents and teachers apply disciplinary strategies that directly contradict the values they claim to promote. If you want to teach a child that fire burns, the worst method is to force the hand into the flame. It's sadistic. It causes harm. That's black pedagogy. Education through punishment, humiliation, and fear. It's an ancient model. Think of mythological ships setting sail for war, offering human sacrifices to appease bloodthirsty deities. Now imagine asking children, is it right to sacrifice a child for the collective good? They'd say no. Yet Christianity proposes this very idea. God, in the role of the parent, sends his son to earth to be sacrificed for the sins of humanity. This is presented as the ultimate act of love. But pedagogically and psychologically, what does that say? That a parent, divine or not, has the right to decide the life and death of their child, born at Christmas, to die by Easter. This isn't love, this is programming. Either salvation is a path of education self-responsibility and inner growth, or it is based on the suffering of someone else, born only to be consumed. This isn't a story of sacrifice in the moment, like Salvo da Cristo. This is a life designed for death, a human being manufactured to die, and this is called love. It's a dangerous, perverse message. And while the Church holds such immense influence over education, from nurseries to universities with crucifixes in schools and courtrooms, its impact on identity, guilt and trauma remains largely unquestioned. Where are the educators? Where are the psychologists? Why isn't this being denounced clearly? The lesson becomes: your death, my life. Love equals suffering. Protection equals punishment. The parent becomes the executioner. It enables parents to project their pain onto children, calling it love. It's spiritualized filicide. Even in 2025, this logic is alive and well. Collodi, the author of Pinocchio, saw it. In Pinocchio, the wooden child is punished, betrayed, and only saved when he confesses to being a delinquent. Then yes, I'm a delinquent, Your Honor, he says. Better to be guilty and survive than innocent and die. This is the foundation of Christian pedagogy. And yet our roots are not Christian. They are Greek, Latin, secular. Greek myths gave us Prometheus, Theseus, Aeneas, Moses, heroes who rebel against the gods to save others. Christianity demands submission. The child must die. The father's will must be obeyed. Even Hamlet dies in despair after killing his father. Nietzsche saw it. Dying for a cause proves nothing about the cause. Collodi parodied this idea. Pinocchio is no ordinary puppet. He's carved child from wood, just like the wood of the cross, evoking a sacrifice in the making. Geppetto, whose name echoes Giuseppetto, a diminutive of Giuseppe, is a humble carpenter, just like Joseph, the earthly father of Jesus. In this symbolic world, even the names whisper gospel shadows. The Garden of Gethsemane is not just a place of prayer, but of torment. Is where Jesus wrestled with fate, alone before betrayal. Pinocchio too must face trials that mirror abandonment and the painful journey toward truth. Then comes the betrayal, Judas with a kiss, and Pinocchio tricked by those closest to him. Trust is weaponized, and innocence is sold for 30 silver coins, the price of betrayal. A reminder that loyalty can be bought, and that virtue alone offers no protection. The field of miracles, where Pinocchio is told that if he buries his coins, a tree will grow, bearing gold, mirrors the false promises of blind faith. It's a parody of divine miracles, an illusion of hope masking deceit. And the thieves always lurking are not just pickpockets, but tempters. Like the two thieves beside the crucified Christ, they represent the eternal choice, to repent or to mock, to evolve or to fall. It's all there, hidden in a fable, dressed as fiction. But every symbol speaks the same language. A story we've all been told, over and over, until it carves itself into our souls. It's all there, hidden in a fable, dressed as fiction. But every symbol speaks the same language. A story we've all been told, over and over until it carves itself into our souls. Cardinal Biffy tried to claim Pinocchio as Catholic, but that's intentional distortion. And this distortion is everywhere. Today, the church receives $4 billion a year in public funds in Italy. Over 100,000 tax-exempt properties, justified by they do some good, but no, they don't. This is the religion of Mafia bosses, who are notoriously devout. It produces pain, guilt, disease, repression. It legitimizes violence and covers it with gold. And it's not just the Catholic Church. Every institutional religion, Christianity, Islam, Judaism, Hinduism, has been used to break people down and build obedient servants. In mosques, in temples, in synagogues, in churches, the message is repeated: obey, submit, suffer, repent. It's not about the divine, it's about control. You want proof? Look at the bodies of the most violent men. Cartel leaders in Mexico, gangsters in the Philippines, Russian Mafia soldiers. They all wear the same things: crosses, saints, Virgin, Mary, rosaries, Bible verses on their necks, Jesus on their chests, bleeding hearts on their backs. These aren't rebels against faith. They are its final product. They pray before pulling the trigger. They kneel before statues soaked in blood. They beg forgiveness from the same God whose name they used to kill. Religion didn't stop their violence. It baptized it. It sanctified it. It made it holy. That's not a coincidence. That's the result of centuries of programming. Religion has been used politically to control the masses. But it's a religion rooted in the apology of evil, not the solution to it. Naples is the clearest case. Justice is absent, rights are denied, but the church is always present. Gold, relics, miracles. Religious education reigns. And what has it produced? In 2025, over 250 minors in Naples were formally involved in organized crime investigations. The Camorra recruits children as soldiers, guns in backpacks, cocaine in pencil cases, garbage in the streets, no schools, no future. Over 100 murders per year. And still, people kneel before saints dripping with blood. The church did nothing to prevent this, because this chaos sustains it. And now science has taken religion's place, not as liberation but as the new God. Creationism isn't just theological, it's technological. To pattern life, to play God, to erase responsibility. But the model is the same. Power disguised as divinity. So what now? Now we must awaken. The church is not a sanctuary. It is a machine that creates both victims and abusers. The believer becomes the hangman or the hanged, always obedient. We saw it in the Mafia, in fascism, in Nazi alliances with the Vatican. We must confront this obscenity. The crucifix shows a child, born wounded, destined to die, for the salvation of others. Whoever programs that death and calls it love is not divine. They are a killer. And yet we've been told this is the greatest good. And then we blame Japanese cartoons. It's not what damages our youth. It's the belief that pain is sacred, that suffering equals virtue, that obedience is holy, that love must hurt. This is not faith. It's trauma, dressed as religion. We must name it, expose it, break it, not to condemn belief, but to protect identity. Because as long as this model dominates education, it will control perception. And when perception is controlled, the soul is captured. That is why I made this documentary. That is why it's called Pedoclastia. The breaking of the child, the sacrifice of innocence. And now that you've seen it, what will you do? Because even in the darkest conditioning, there's a moment when we wake up. Even after years of guilt, we can still remember who we were before fear. You were not born to kneel. You were not born to suffer. You were born to live fully, not in shame, not in silence, but in truth and love. And truth and love doesn't need temples. It doesn't need robes or blood. It lives in your body, your instincts, your breath. If you grew up with a twisted idea of love, it wasn't your fault. But now, it's your power. You can heal. You can break the cycle. You can raise your children with freedom, not fear. With boundaries, not guilt. With presence, not punishment. The cross doesn't have to be the end. Let it be the last lie. And after the silence, let joy return. Not because the world is perfect, but because you are finally free to see it. Welcome back to yourself. Welcome back to life. And thank you for watching, for thinking, for feeling. This is not just a documentary, it's a mirror. And if it shook you, maybe it's because something inside you is ready to rise. Now rise. And before I go, if this documentary meant something to you, if it made you think or feel or see things differently, then please like, share, and subscribe. I didn't make this for algorithms. I made it for you, for the few out there who are still searching for truth, even when it hurts. If this video reaches enough people, it will give me the push to make more content like this in English. I'll still do it anyway, but your support helps me do it louder, clearer, and faster. So if you're still here, thank you. I see you, I respect you, and I'll see you in the next one. Take care, stay awake, and never stop asking why. A production of the entity of high purpose and objective Calandrino.